Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We always begin with gratitude. So first, I want to thank you for being here and for doing whatever it is you needed to do to show up here and to be present in this space. I'm very honored to have your presence and your energy here, and I hope that you are allowing yourself the space to be however you are in this moment. I am LA, a holistic wellness therapreneur and the creator of this channel, Reconnect with You. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. This channel has a primary focus on wellness and will include sound baths, affirmations, tips for different aspects of wellness, and short talks focused on you and your relationship with yourself. I will be posting videos on Sunday for hashtag Solitude Sunday to send y'all some good vibes to start off the week. So, are you ready to reconnect with you? If so, come on in and get comfortable, whatever getting comfortable looks and feels like for you. I've been recording shorter videos containing tips that I think might be helpful for viewers. And as a licensed clinical social worker, I was thinking that it would be really useful for me to post a video containing tips for helping you to find a therapist that is the best fit or that's a good fit for you. Before I do that, I just want to let you all know a little bit of information about my practice. I am the founding owner and clinical director at RECONNECT WITH YOU, PLLC, which is a private mental health practice. We are currently accepting new clients. There, we specialize in supporting high-performing adults, especially entrepreneurs, executives, and other professionals. We use evidence-based and holistic practices in our approach. You can visit our website at reconnectwithyou.org. That website link is also included in the description box below. If you are watching this video, that means that you are seriously considering working with a therapist and you are in the process of searching for a therapist. First, I want to commend you for starting that process. It takes a lot of courage to begin the process of looking for a therapist and just being open to working with a therapist. In today's video, I will be sharing with you 5 tips for finding a therapist that is a good fit for you. One thing I want to share that is not necessarily included in these 5 tips, but that I think is important for you to consider in your search in finding a therapist is what skills, experience, or personal qualities are you looking for in a therapist? Those are some really important things for you to consider in terms of connecting with a therapist that is the best fit for you. I am a therapist who is also in therapy. I have been in therapy for several years on and off. It's really important to me to be in therapy, not just because I benefit from the support that I receive there, but because when I am sitting with clients, I'm able to support them from the lens of someone who is not just talking the talk, but someone who's walking the walk. Someone who is in therapy and also doing their own work. The tips that I'm providing you today are informed by my personal experience in therapy and also my work with clients. The first tip I have for you in determining how to approach therapy is to ask questions to determine fit. Let's say you are attending a job interview. This employer is going to be asking you some questions to see if you're a good fit, to see if you qualify for the position. And towards the end of the interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for us? The same way that you would ask questions of an employer in an interview, it's important for you to ask questions of your therapist. It's not just about whether or not they want to work with you. It's also about, are you going to be able to meet my needs? And how do I feel about the responses that you're giving to the questions that I'm asking? Do I feel that working with you will be a good fit for me? I encourage clients to go into that initial session, or even if the therapist offers a brief consultation, go into that consultation with questions that you may want to ask and questions that you think would help you to determine whether or not working with that therapist is a good fit for you. Just to give you an idea of some of those questions, and this is a bonus, this is outside of the 5 tips, but some of those questions might be, what is your experience working with clients with my presenting concerns? How will you ensure confidentiality in our work together? How do you like to receive feedback from clients, or how do you respond to feedback from clients? What are some ways that you might approach honoring my autonomy throughout the therapeutic process? Describe your therapeutic style. What can I expect in working with you? This list of questions is also not exhaustive. If you Google questions to ask a therapist in the first session, you're going to get so many different results. So these are just a few of the many questions that you can ask a therapist in the first session to determine whether or not they're going to be a good fit for working with you. The second tip that I have for you is identify your goals for therapy. What is it that you feel like you need the most support with? What is it that you are hoping that the sessions with that particular therapist can focus on? And that can be informed by two things. If you've been in therapy previously and you've worked with a therapist before, you can really take that information and take the sessions that you've already completed with the previous therapist and say, okay, well, I was working on this thing and we made a lot of progress with that, and that's no longer a concern of mine. That may not be something that you need more support on. Being able to go into that brief consultation with the therapist and say, well, I'm really struggling with family issues. I'm going through a rough patch in my relationship, and I'm also stressed about work. Part of that initial session with the therapist, they're going to ask, well, why are you seeking therapy? What do you want to work on? You go into that session prepared if you're able to identify with yourself what it is that you want to focus on, or what it is that you're hoping to work on or receive support with. The third tip that I have for you in how to approach therapy is communicating your needs. This is very much related to self-advocacy. I always tell clients that the therapeutic relationship, it's a type of relationship. And like people say when they are referring to romantic relationships, you have to teach people how to treat you, or you have to teach people or tell people how to love you. And the same goes with the therapeutic relationship. One of my favorite things to say to clients in the first session, I'll tell them, I am a fully licensed clinician, but I am not perfect. This is a new relationship and we're going to be getting to know each other. I am trained as a clinician, but you are the expert on you. So I'm going to be looking to you to tell me more about you and about what you need. And while I will be asking questions to help me to better understand that, I'm also depending on you in a way to share certain information with me. I don't know what you don't tell me. So all of that to say is really important to you to communicate your needs to the therapist. One of the things I will say about communicating your needs is that if you can begin a relationship where you are communicating your needs, you're communicating your expectations, that can really mitigate a lot of conflict and issues later on in the relationship. The fourth tip that I have for you is to determine your readiness for therapy. When you hear people say things like, oh, I'm doing the work or doing the work, when they're referring to therapy, what they mean is that being in therapy is not easy. Being in therapy is not necessarily an easy process. If that were the case, more people would be signing up to do it. And I know that we've had an increase in people seeking therapy services during the pandemic, which I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful that we have these services and support available to people who are seeking them and who need them. And it does come with its challenges. It is rewarding when you can see the growth and you can experience the growth and you can kind of see your progress. At the same time, it's not an easy process, and I do not sugarcoat that with clients. When I encourage you to determine your readiness to seek therapy and to be in therapy, I'm referring to the weekly or the bi-weekly commitment, depending on whatever you decide with your therapist, how frequently you think is important for you to meet. Are you willing and able to meet with your therapist weekly or bi-weekly? Are you going to complete the therapeutic homework? I am one of those therapists. I assign therapeutic homework to my clients and I communicate that to them in the first session, and I say, in order for there to be a reinforcement of what it is that we're processing and working through in sessions, I'm going to assign you therapeutic homework. That may be an article for you to review and for us to come back together in session to discuss. That may be I tell you to practice a particular technique in between the sessions. That may be a reflection question that I give you to journal about or reflect on, and we talk about that in the next session. So are you willing to do that? And I'm not saying that all therapists assign therapeutic homework. That's something that you want to be ready for. What is my therapist telling me or encouraging me to do in between the sessions, and am I willing to do that? The most important thing in the process of therapy is a question you have to ask yourself: am I willing to stick with the process even if or when things become difficult or uncomfortable for me? The fifth tip that I have for you in how to approach therapy is preparing for your sessions. When I meet with a client at the beginning of the session, what I'll say is that the first 1 to 3 sessions is dedicated to assessment. And that is the therapist asking you questions to learn more about your background, to get a better idea of the history of the issue or the issues that you're coming to therapy for. One of the questions that I'll ask: is there any particular place or any particular thing that you may want to start with? I am aware that in sessions with clients, we set therapy goals or treatment goals together. That's a collaborative process. I always tell clients, don't feel like you have to stick to the treatment goals. Sometimes there are things that happen and come up in between sessions, and you are not prohibited to bring those things up, especially if they directly impact your treatment goals. What have you noticed? What's come up for you since your last session? I can't tell you how many times I've sat with clients and I'll ask, well, what do you want to start with? What's troubling you today? What do you feel like you need the most support with? And the client is like, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you are new to therapy. So it's my opportunity as a therapist to ask questions to kind of help guide that process. At the same time, I always tell clients, you are the expert on you. So I'm looking to you to tell me what it is that you want to focus on. So in a lot of ways, you're in the driver's seat and I'm in the passenger seat. I'm kind of taking I'm seeing where you're driving us. Where are you leading us? And every therapist is different in terms of how they approach, but I really want to empower clients to be the drivers of their own vehicles. I don't own this vehicle. This is your vehicle, and I'm riding with you to kind of see where we go. If you turn down a street, if you go the wrong way, I'm gonna say, you missed your turn. You missed your turn back there. Where are we going? For those of you who are new to my channel, I like using metaphor just to give you an idea of how I approach therapy and how therapy may work with some clinicians. Those are the 5 tips in how to approach therapy that I have for y'all. Well, that is what I have for y'all for tips in how to approach therapy. I look forward to connecting with y'all again soon, but in the meantime, reconnect with you. Namaste.